Hello, you're welcome to once again to my live session. My name is Joel, your regular host, and today we have a guest. But before I introduce my guest, I'll just give us a background of what to expect in our discussion today. Today we'll be discussing two topics in our live session today. We all know Nigerian politics, everything is heated up at the moment. And a lot of people believe most of the things that we see happening today, they're all geared towards 2027, the presidential election, general elections in 2027. Everything in Nigeria always have a political undertone. So today, our first discussion will be about the PDP. It's no longer news that PDP is embroiled in a lot of internal problems. As we speak, one time largest self-Christian largest party in Africa now has two factions, and we've seen governors and top party members defecting from the party to the ruling party or to the ADC. Now the party has now become a shadow of itself. Some have said that the reason for some of these internal wranglings is because some elements within the APC have decided to kill the party that way to weaken the opposition that the PDP might want to put forth in 2027. While some agree, or some just argue that lack of internal politics is what is affecting the PDP today. And just today, we saw a breaking news that the governor of Rivers State has formally defected to the All Progressives Congress. And we've seen other party governors are on the verge of, leaving the party and moving to and pitching their tent elsewhere. So today, to discuss some of this is our first topic. Our second topic is about the level of insecurity in Nigeria and how this might affect the chances of Bola Ahmed Tinubu come 2027. Now, the reason why we are discussing this because insecurity was a game changer for Jonathan in 2015. How it affected Jonathan seriously in 2015 election. So we'll be discussing this today, and our guest is a former member of the House of Representatives. Okay, I think we've lost that. Okay, we seem to be having network challenges from Nigeria, but okay. So to discuss these topics today, we have a two-term member of the National Assembly, a two-term member of the Nigerian House of Representatives, and the 8th Assembly. He's a veteran journalist, one who is very vast with Nigerian politics, having taken part at the highest level of Nigerian politics. And while as a journalist, he covered so much of happenings in Nigerian politics. So we have Honorable Rima Shawulu joining us today from Abuja. Glad to have you join us today, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you clearly. I'm sure our audience can also hear you very clearly. Now, let's start with this first thing. The PDP. You were once a member of the PDP. You contested on the platform of PDP twice and you were elected on the same platform of the PDP. At that time, it was one of the biggest party, or if not the biggest, the largest party in Africa. Now the PDP is a shadow of itself. Now we have two factions, one led by the Wike faction and one funded and spearheaded by the governor of Oyo State. What do you think is the implication of these internal wranglings in the PDP and the faction? What do you think are the implications, considering that 2027 is just around the corner, because we are now in December 2025. By next year, we will have officially entered the election year, where we'll see a lot of politicking going on about political parties, primaries, and all of that. What do you think is the implication of this come 2027?
Well, thank you for having me once again. It's very obvious that, to my mind, that the major thing that we need to know about what has happened to the People's Democratic Party is that, howsoever you look at it, it is unlikely that anyone who has the desire to be elected into any office in the coming election will have a platform in the People's Democratic Party. If you speak to the people in the two groups that you mentioned, they were both groups are optimistic that the cases that have been filed in court, they are going to win. The group that is loyal to the former Rivers State Governor and the Minister of the FCT is very optimistic that it will win the cases that are in court. And the side that with the governor of Oyo State, one of the governors who teamed up with then Governor Wike to work against the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 election, Sheyi Makinde, they are also hopeful that they will win their case. But what is obvious is that the two groups have together, by their actions or inactions, refusal to agree or disagree publicly the way they have done. They have made the People's Democratic Party unavailable for the next election. It is very unlikely, contrary to what some of them believe, that after 2027 they will reorganize and work again. It's very unlikely if you look at political history and history of political parties and the major distrust that they now have between them, that the party will resurrect after 2027. You never say die, but if we are anything to learn from history, new circumstances will arise, new factors will arise. It's even possible that the people who are clamoring for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to win his second term from within the PDP may fall out of favor with President Bola Ahmed if he wins the election in 2027. On the other hand, it's quite possible that, as it happened in Guinea-Bissau, and in particular, the attempt to, as people believe generally, to stop the PDP from fielding a credible candidate so that President Bola Ahmed will win the election, may end up doing the exact opposite. It may end up putting together or bringing together all groups and persons that are so aggrieved from all sections of the country and create the environment for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be defeated. Let me make it clear from some of the little that I know of history. In Kenya, in the last election, the president and his long-term opponent team up to ensure that they to deny the then vice president, who is now president, Ruto, from becoming the president. But that ended up making it possible for Ruto to be elected. The fact that the president and the major opposition leader, who has since died, team up to work against Ruto, the Kenyan public decided, maybe for that or other reasons, and they voted into power President Ruto. So this gang up to clear way for a particular candidate has the potentials of actually doing the exact opposite. And if you look at the recent coup in Guinea-Bissau,
yes,
the president as well banned some opposition political parties, destabilize them, and de-enfranchise some candidates from running the election. On the eve of the election, one of the candidates who was de-enfranchised decided to team up with the guy that the president thought will not be capable of winning the election. And the president actually, from the statistics that most observers have said, defeated the president, which was why the president himself called the military to take over. And in a strange way, right, instead of the military declaring that there was a coup, it was the exiting president who had seen the election result that he did not win, who decided to announce to the world that a coup had taken place. So, and if that scenario holds, PDP is unlikely to come back from where it has gone. On the other hand, in the event, for instance, that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu wins the election because of cooperation from key people within the People's Democratic Party, it is just possible that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will come up with new policies and programs, may have new friends that may not see the need for PDP to still be alive. And of course, that may mean that the PDP may not succeed again, may have killed itself.
Okay, now there's this notion that's out there in public that what we see happening in the PDP today is funded or orchestrated by the APC. Do you think that's the case?
Well, I've heard that, and that has been canvassed in the media. But the question that other people have raised too is that while PDP was in power, PDP tried to also destroy other political parties, to weaken other political parties. And so if the APC is doing it to the PDP, it is nothing new or strange. Okay. But the fact of the matter too is that, in my opinion, the problem is not that a thief wants to come to your house, because thieves will always want to come to your house and take things from you. It is for you to secure yourself. Absolutely. The fact that PDP has been unable to secure itself, PDP and its officials have themselves to blame. Perhaps let me remind you about, take you down into history. In the first instance, you recall that the PDP would have won the 2015 elections very easily had PDP not been sabotaged by PDP in 2015. PDP lost the election to the activities of PDP. And some of the people who moved out of PDP later came back into the PDP after they discovered that the new party that they had funded was not serving their interest. As well, you also recall that in the last election, 2023, PDP lost the election because PDP members worked against the PDP. Had PDP members stood together, there is no way that PDP would have lost the election. So the issue of external sabotage, APC trying to infiltrate and do all those things, they are neither here or not there. I was involved with the 2011 elections. I was I was in the situation room of the Goodluck Sambo campaign organization, and we do know that PDP stood largely together, despite the fact that there were many people that worked against the PDP from within the PDP itself. We had some PDP members team up in what they call the Northern Consensus Candidate, in which President Muhammadu Buhari competed against the former military head of state, General Ibrahim Babangida, and in the mock election, that was
Yes.
done that produced Muhammadu Buhari as the joint Northern Consensus candidate. You will recall that even people like the late Adamu Chiroma of the PDP, a board member of the PDP, was part of the people that did the Northern Consensus candidate Gambu. And
Absolutely.
a lot of the people that were a part of the Gambu worked with President Muhammadu Buhari in 2011. He lost the election to President Goodluck Jonathan because majority of the members of the PDP did not follow them to do the sabotage. So it's not a new thing that PDP members have been sabotaging themselves.
So, given this foundation and background that you have laid, it simply means that we're not seeing any credible or any strong, viable opposition from the PDP come 2027. So now let's talk about the ADC, because it appears ADC is now the new bride that will now function, as the viable opposition, against the APC come 2027. But from what we see, it appears from the body language of members or top members of the ADC, it appears the ticket will definitely go to Atiku. And Peter Obi has said in a different fora that he will not play second fiddle. He wants to be president. Do you think this might also cause a problem for the ADC in 2027?
Well, political parties, as a political scientist, you do know that political parties environments where ideas compete, individuals compete, and people have resolutions are taken. And it is important to note that I'm sure that worry that is expressed in that discussion comes from two issues. The first one is the fact that there appears to be the belief among many people that the zoning formula that since President Muhammadu Buhari spent 8 years as president, the presidential ticket should remain in the south. That is one leg of what I think you are saying. But that it does appear, as some people think, that the ADC may be a special purpose vehicle for the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to get a ticket. And if he does get the ticket from, if I understand what you are saying, we will probably have a situation where key figures like Peter Obi, who still commands very large following in the south and southeast, may pick tickets from other parties, from another party, and that may open the room for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to still win the election. Or as some people have said, if Peter Obi from the south contest and Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the south contest, then the room may be available for ADC, whose candidate might be a Fulani or Hausa from the north to win the elections. All those speculations are there. But I want you to note that in the first place, all these are projections. In the second place, when people are working for power, a lot of things would depend on how strongly they feel about the situation that is on ground. In 2015, Vice President Atiku Abubakar and some other people had ambition to contest the presidency of Nigeria, but they buried that ambition because they wanted to win the election. It was important for them, in their opinion, to win the election. So they team up to work with President Muhammadu Buhari. So it's quite possible that howsoever anybody thinks, by the time the clouds clear, whether PDP will be in the hands of FCT Minister Nyesom Ezenwa Wike, or will be in the hands of the people that held the convention in Ibadan. will determine, for instance, what will happen, who will be candidate and who will not be a candidate. And of course, if both Vice President Atiku Abubakar, President Goodluck Jonathan, whose name we've been hearing, express interest to contest election, and Peter Obi wants to contest, and they strongly feel that they need to change the situation that we have it today, they will be able to come together, have a working arrangement to get things happening.
Okay, the last question based on our first topic. You see, this issue of zoning has been one of the biggest problems we've had since 1999. And this whole issue of zoning, that has led to the downfall of PDP today, all of this can be traced to 2009 when Yar'Adua died. Because at that point, it was assumed that the presidency was zoned to the north. Upon Yar'Adua's death, it was expected that Jonathan wouldn't have contested 2011. And then, maybe due to desperation, he said he was going to do only one term. But at the end of the day, the body language suggested otherwise. And one of the reasons Atiku gave for leaving the PDP in 2014, teaming up with the G5 governors to, defect to the APC, was a question of zoning. That the power rotation was still within the north. And at that point, Jonathan shouldn't have contested based on gentleman agreement within the party. And now Buhari did 8 years. Power went to the north for 8 years. So it's assumed that the next 8 years, power will be in the south. Do you think, aside the constitutional right or constitutional provisions that guarantees that Atiku should contest, do you think it's fair for Atiku to contest this election?
Well, the issue is that even though zoning has been a principle of the PDP, zoning is not a constitutional provision, number one. And secondly, even when President Goodluck Jonathan contested election in 2011, in the PDP primaries, his opponent was Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And secondly, even when it was clear that President Olusegun Obasanjo had been selected to recontest the election in 2003, we still had a lot of people from the north and even southeast that contested against him. So the point I'm trying to make is that the issue should not be a question of fairness or non-fairness. If you are talking about a question of fairness or non-fairness, then you have to raise some issues, one of which will be by the way, let me even go down to a little history. The constitution that was first used in Nigeria were the constitutions that were drawn up with Nigerian participation by colonial authorities. And the parliamentary system was such that there was no question of zoning. Let me make that clear. Let it be clear that if we had continued with the issue of, if the First Republic had continued, had not been disrupted by coup, I want to assure you that the North, nobody from the South would have won the election. They would have become prime minister, because if you look at the seats if you look at the number of seats that each of the regions had, and that manifested itself in the way the Northern People's Congress, the NPC, conducted itself. If you check through archives, you will not see anywhere that the late Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello, who was the premier of North and the leader of NPC, or the Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa, conducting any campaign in any part of the South, because they didn't need to. In the parliamentary system, all you needed was whoever had the majority members produce the leader. That's what you have in UK and some other parliaments. Yes. So you cannot find where they went to campaign, but you see that Chief Obafemi Awolowo You also see posters and pictures of him campaigning with helicopter in certain northern states because he needed to win some sections of the north to be able to get majority members. And so this idea of zoning political positions only came with the, in my own understanding of our history, only came with the 1999 constitution. And the 1979 constitution, you also notice that even if Awolowo had the plurality, assuming he even had the plurality of votes, majority of votes, which was unlikely because the sheer number of registered voters in the Southwest versus what obtained in then the states of the North, there was no way he could have become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so it is part of our historical development that a time reached that it was thought that we should zone. And I did point out in one of the videos that I did is that General Sani Abacha, the Constitutional Conference or Constituent Assembly that he convoked in Abuja, that issue came up very strongly. And it was said that power should rotate should move between North and South. And then there were complaints. Then I remember I was a journalist reporting those. I was reporting doing reports as a journalist, and I was in Abuja when some of those controversies came up. It was argued then that if you just rotated the power between the North and South, you were going to have a problem that some sections would be denied. And so you had this next question that it was resolved, and General Sani Abacha decided to create geopolitical zones. And the understanding then was that whenever power moved to one region, say the North, it was going to shift from one of the regions, from one of the geopolitical zones to another, so that all the people will be taken care of. However, as you have noticed, the power has come to the North 2 times since 1999. The constitution that took effect after those proceedings. Both persons who have become president were from one zone, that is Northwest, and from one state, and belong to one ethnic group and one religion. And if you check too, the power that has gone to the South has gone to one ethnic group.
One ethnic group.
It has gone to but 2 religions. It went to General Olusegun Obasanjo, and then now to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, both from the Southwest. And if you don't take time, you will create a situation where the Yoruba, for instance, will become the Fulani of the South. Each time power goes to the South, it will go to the Yoruba. And each time power goes to the North, it will go to the Fulani or somebody from the Northwest. Having said that, in measuring the issue of whether there has been fairness or not, people have called attention to the fact that the North has been in power for longer periods than the South. Well, that if you take that, Nigeria since 1960, that is true. But I think that will be faulty because before that time, it was who had the largest population that just simply produced by the fact that he had more members in the parliament. But if you take the case from 1999 to date, the President Yaradua had about 2.5 years or so as president, and President Muhammadu Buhari had 8 years, making it a total of 8.5 years. If you go to the South, President Olusegun Obasanjo has had 8 years, And
Yeah.
now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done 2 years. He has almost caught up with the presidency, with the years that the Fulani in the
Yeah,
Northwest had.
you're excluding Jonathan's about 5 years of Jonathan.
No, I'm not
Let's see.
explaining Jonah. I'm coming to
Okay.
that. So, if you bring in Jonathan's one, of course, you read the fact that the South has had 8 years of Obasanjo, 2 years now of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is 10 years, and 5 years of Jonathan. So from 1999 to date, you see that the South has had 15 years to the North's 10 years. So it's for you to choose. Numbers are, people say stupid numbers or stupid statistics. You can turn it whichever way. So people will turn it and say, oh, the South, because they are calculating from 1960 to date. But if you are calculating from the time that we agreed we should be sharing, rotating positions, the South has actually had more years in power than the North.
Yes, because that question about rotating power within the 6 geopolitical zones. Some years ago, I wrote a paper about the North-South dichotomy and how we can have all-inclusiveness when it comes to power sharing and governance. And one of the recommendations I gave in that paper is that power should rotate within the 6 geopolitical zones. So the question of majority should not even count. If power goes to the Northwest, next it should go to the North Central or probably Northeast or Southwest, Southeast, South. So if we have power rotation within the 6 political zones that way, I think some of the problems that we see today, some of the internal problems that we see in Nigeria today will not be there. But of course, the political class will always see things from a different angle, especially those who have different motives why they are seeking for power. Now,